morning, everyone. I am here today joined by Raheem from Devon Self Storage. Raheem is the Senior Vice President of Operations over at Devon Self Storage. And Raheem, I was checking out your background on your LinkedIn, and come to find out, you and I actually have a similar background. I'm not sure that we've spoken about it. It looks like you were in food franchising before you came into self-storage. I was as well. I was a business consultant for a long time for Maggie Moo's Ice Cream and then for Smoothie King. So pretty cool that I don't think we've ever talked about that experience and that we share that.
No. I hear that there's a lot of restaurant background in the storage industry. I love it.
I do too. And I mean, I've told people too, with my background in franchising, there's a similarity that I see within the relationships. When you have good relationships in food franchising, from my background, I feel like it just makes your job that much easier. And I see the same here in self-storage. So walk me through kind of like how you transitioned from food franchising and got into self-storage. Like, did it fall in your lap like it did for me, or how did this come about for you?
Yeah, I think we all have a strange, unique experience in how storage found us. And I think I fall in that category also. I grew up in the restaurant industry. That's the only thing I knew. I was in between. You could almost say that was my first interview process. I hit the market. I was in between jobs, and I'd never interviewed before. So somebody called me from Extra Space Storage, and I'm like, storage? What is this? And the only reason I started interviewing with them is because I need to get some practice in. So I'm like, great. I don't know who you are. I don't think I'm interested in storage, but I'd love to practice and get some interviews under my belt. So when the real opportunity comes knocking, I'll be ready. That's the only reason I started talking. And the more I talked to them, the more I found out about the culture. And also the longevity of all the managers that I talked to. I think the first person I talked to had been with the company like 21 years. Second person was like 11 years. Third person was 17. Fourth person was 23. Fifth person was like 12 years. So every time, and coming from the restaurant industry, you don't see that, turnover is high. You don't see that longevity and people sticking around in the business for that long. So that really piqued my interest. It's like, hey, there's something in storage that, grabs people and they never leave. And I think it's the work-life balance. Once you get inside, you understand it's the work-life balance, it's the culture, it's the camaraderie. And I think that's missing in other industries.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I would echo your sentiments there. I mean, I've been in it now for almost 2 years, and I think I'm here to stay. I'm going to ride the career wave out with self-storage. There's just too much exciting things going on. Great, amazing group of people out there, as you and I both know. Yeah. So that's awesome. I love that. So you were with Extra Space for a while, and then you transitioned over to Devon. Kind of walk me through how that all kind of came about.
Same thing. Devon found me. They came knocking, and the opportunity was right. And I came on board with Ken Nitzberg. He's our CEO, president of the company. And we decided to take Devon to the next level. And we've really moved the company along. We've grown about 20% since I joined the company. And we have long-term strategy in place on how we're going to get up to the 3-digit number.
That's awesome. And I wish you guys luck there. I know you guys have had some great growth and continue to grow. So that's always exciting. The reason I wanted to put together this series, Raheem, just to let you know, we've had a huge influx in the industry of new people. And when I mean new, I mean totally green, new to investing, new to being an owner and operator. So we obviously want to welcome them with big open arms and give them some of the best resources out there. So that's why we're doing this series, trying to give them a good view of what it's like to be in the self-storage industry. So walk me through some of the biggest surprises that you've had thus far in your career in the industry that maybe you didn't anticipate coming in, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, what those might look like.
One of the biggest things that a lot of people don't understand about the storage industry, and you won't understand unless you're on the front lines and really understand what storage is all about, is how much you touch a customer and that relationship that you build with the customer. In the storage industry, unlike any other industry, every customer that's walking through that door is going through some kind of a change. That could be good, bad, ugly, and we get to be part of that. We get to be that transition point for them to get from point A to point B, and that's crucial. And I think, you know, we get to put our little touch and help them through that. I think that's something different in this industry than any other industry that I can think of.
Yeah, I would agree. There's definitely the people connection that you get at the store level. I was on a call. Actually, we were on a panel with Stacy Maxwell, and she calls it self-storage counseling.
Yeah.
Because many
bartenders.
Yeah, we are. I mean, they come in, they're in the middle of a move. Sometimes it's an unexpected move. They break down in tears.
Yep.
You never know what's going on in their life. So obviously the compassion towards the customers and touching the customers in the appropriate ways throughout their journey of being a tenant with you is a super critical piece.
Yeah.
Awesome. For those newer owners and operators out there that are just getting started, looking to get into the industry, give me like your top 3 tips that you would give somebody that's new to this space.
I would say number 1 is hire a great manager. I think that's the foundation of everything storage.
I agree.
I can't tell you how many times all we have done at a property that was struggling is change the management and bring in the right manager with the right mindset, sales-minded, employee that really understands customer service and how to interact with a customer. And that really has skyrocketed the numbers at a property, right? So that's the foundation. You got to be able to do that.
Front line of defense right there. The better they are, the better the operations will be.
Correct. So hire right. And then I would say number 2 would be train them on the 3 C's, what we call the 3 C's, which is teach them how to close on, you got to be fanatical about closing. Every customer opportunity that comes in, every customer that walks in through the door, they don't go to any other business. Once they walk in, they're your customer. They don't leave without renting. You got to be fanatical about it, right? So teach them how to be fanatical, how to be driven on that. Every customer is a closing opportunity. So close. And then number 2 is when you're not closing on a customer, then you're cleaning your property. You want to make sure your property looks better than anybody else, especially with REITs coming in and, coming in and taking a lot of our competitors out of the way kind of thing. They drive their team on making sure those properties are spick and span clean. And, can't tell you how many times they've taken on properties and you sit there and you scratch your head going, did they ever clean this property? So you got to differentiate yourself, and cleaning and keeping your property as clean as possible definitely differentiates you from everybody else and at least puts you on par with all the REITs.
Yeah, for sure.
So close, clean, and then collect, right? When you're not closing, you're not cleaning. You got to make sure that all the dollars are hitting the bank. So making sure that everybody that needs to pay is paying. So, we sort of teach them to focus on those 3 things: close, clean, collect.
I love that. That's a great tip. And it reminds me of the food franchising days. I always would tell somebody, if you're leaning, you got time to be cleaning. So I don't know what you're doing, but you better get to cleaning. But yeah, especially in self-storage, you're protecting the asset by keeping it updated, keeping it well maintained. I mean, that's everything from the roll-up doors to the inside of the unit to the lobby. I mean, it's not just that front area, it's the entire property. And I think some people tend to forget that sometimes. Walk me through, excuse me. I know you said that Devon is in growth mode, trying to get into the 3-digit figures. Where are you guys right now? You're around like 50 some locations currently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we crossed over the 50 mark. We have 15 properties that are under contract or levels of construction. We're doing a lot of conversions right now. We're focused on those. So we're on different stages of that at this point. And we're continuing to grow. We're continuing to expand. The only problem with conversions is it's a slow expansion, right?
Sure. Now that you're talking about expansion and conversion, talk me through your thoughts and feelings on converting some of these big box retailers that you see out there. I see articles all the time, like old Kmart turning into a self-storage facility.
Hey,
Is that, it might have been your article.
Yeah.
And I've heard different opinions. I've heard people that love conversion projects like that, and I've heard people that want to steer away from it. Kind of tell me what your thought is on why you guys are going that direction with conversions.
Yeah, I think it's easy, right? I mean, if you look at the cap rates right now for acquisitions, yesterday I saw a property that was up on the market for 1% cap rate. I mean, they're just some ridiculous numbers out there. People are trying to sell. The issue with that is you can buy an acquisition property, but then you're trying to make ROI on your investment, and that becomes extremely hard. And we have some very aggressive investors that want a significant IRR, return on investment, right? So,
for sure.
And for us to get there, we could do it two ways, right? One is acquisition, or the other way would be new build. And of course, new build, again, you gotta, you don't have a foundation there. You got to build from scratch. It takes longer. With conversions, we sort of find that middle ground. We already have a property that's sitting, that already has the framework. We just have to build the units on the inside. It's usually in an opportunity zone. It's sitting, that area has been turned dark. It's been sitting for a while. It's an eyesore for the city. City is happy that somebody is taking over that property and converting it and making it, put a fresh look on it. And they're happy to give us a tax break in exchange. They're jumping through hoops, so we don't get as much of a pushback as we do with a brand new property. So there's a lot of win-win opportunities with conversions. That's the reason we sort of lean towards that.
Awesome, thank you for sharing that. So you guys are going into new markets. Walk me through, if you're acquiring a property in an existing market or you're trying to enter into a new market, what are some of the key attributes that you're looking for in that particular market to make that decision that it's right for you guys?
Yeah, no, we have a scorecard that we look at. So every time we look at a new property, we sort of churn it through the scorecard. And we look at a couple different metrics, and based on how it scores on those metrics, we decide if it's even something we're interested in or something we want to put boots on the ground in. So we look at what is the traffic counts, what are the market rents, what is the occupancy trend in the neighborhood, what is the 3-mile population, what's the household income, how many people per household, how many units are saturated in that market per household. So we look at all of these factors. The scorecard sort of scores each one of them on a different level, and then we get a cumulative number. And if that number is it's from a 0 to 100. So if it's over 60, we get interested. If it's over 70, we get boots on the ground. If it's over 80, we're all in.
That's awesome. Now, is that something your team developed in-house, or did you have somebody else kind of come in and develop that process and scorecard for you?
No, it's something that our team sort of developed. We've been doing this for 30 years, so we've sort of used our 30-year knowledge of what did we find in different areas, and we've sort of tweaked that scorecard up and down, and have really, gotten it perfected. Where now, just by putting an address in and getting that data, we're able to really pinpoint and make sure that we're not chasing, sites or opportunities that really are not going to pan out.
For sure. Do you have a particular, you guys are kind of spread out at this point, right? If I'm remembering correctly, is that kind of you're going to go where just it feels right? Is there a particular region of interest for you guys?
No, at the end of the day, that's one of the benefits of being in self-storage is, you can run it remotely. You can scale if you have other sites close by. And even if you don't, as long as you get presence there once a month with Zoom meetings and using technology and dialing into sites, looking at video, you can run a property anywhere in the country, right? So we're East Coast to West Coast, and we're expanding anywhere that makes sense for us.
Awesome. I'm going to keep building off of this particular topic. So I know earlier you said, obviously, the manager, the front line of defense is like one of the most critical pieces. What are some of the other tools that you would suggest an owner operator bring into their operation, whether it's a revenue management system, property management system, or just processes that you guys think are critical to run a good operation?
That's a simple answer. Just get Devon management to run your business, and you think you're so.
Plug.
No, but it's three. I would say three things that everybody needs to think about is, if you're a brand new owner coming into this storage industry, three things you should focus on. Who's going to do your marketing that's going to drive traffic to your properties? You gotta know, what source of marketing are you going to use? Pay per clicks? Are you going to use aggregator? Are you, how active are you going to be on social media? So you gotta understand that. Are you going to do it in-house? You're going to do it, outsource this? Who's going to run it? What's the thought process behind it? You got to understand that, right? So that's one. Number two would be, now that you have traffic coming to your properties, are you maximizing on revenue? So what's your revenue management strategy? Who's running that, right? Are you bringing people in at $1 when they're willing to pay $100? Are you trying to price it at $200 and the market is saying $100? What is happening to that traffic when it gets to your property? Do they see your prices and run away? Or are they happy with the prices? And it's that perfect win-win situation where they're paying just enough to get on board, right? And then also in the revenue management strategy is, what are your current customers paying? As you're raising your rates on your on your existing or your customers coming in, what are your existing customers doing, right? Are you raising rates on them? And how aggressive are you? So there's a whole strategy and a science and an art that goes with it. Some do well, some struggle with that part of it. So that's something that they really need to think through. And then last but not least is operations. Making sure that the property, the asset that you have invested your money in continues to succeed. You have a management team that continues to give, customer-centric service on the front lines. The property looks good. The property is going to continue to perform well. So if you look at all three of those, marketing, revenue management, and operations, if you have a full-out strategy on all three of these things, you'll do good.
Yeah, it's funny. I was asking my internal team as we were kind of developing this process and some questions that we wanted to ask, what they suggested. And our CFO, of course, was like, you definitely need to ask about revenue management. And everyone's answer should be, it is a critical piece and one of the most important pieces.
For sure.
So you passed the test that you didn't know you were taking. So listen, we went through COVID, some super weird times, right? Last year, it made the industry accelerate to get technology up and running. I think there were companies that were already trying to go to contactless. They were just in the works of it. 2021 has been a crazy strong year. I mean, I've talked to brokers and real estate agents, and they have deals coming in like crazy to the point where they're like, we don't need any more deals, which, I mean, that's shocking to hear and say, but that's what's kind of going on out there. They're just so busy. Do you think this, and everybody's saying this industry is recession proof, which, I mean, I think we all saw that through COVID. Yeah. And, now we've got the weird Delta variants and the spikes coming back throughout the country. Do you see this self-storage need and wave kind of continuing? And how long do you think it's going to continue for, if you were to guess? Because I mean, listen, it's gonna taper off at some point, right?
True.
Just kind of walk me through like what your gut feeling is there with that.
Yeah, the record occupancies we're facing right now, I don't think this is a long term. This is definitely a short term, right? Sure. How long is it? I would say, based on what we're seeing out in the industry, it's going for at least 12 to 18 months. Why 12 to 18 months? Well, because the moratorium on evictions has still not been lifted. That can keeps getting kicked down the street, right? The next one is coming up in October. Mm-hmm. And once that moratorium is lifted, people are going to go through an eviction process. And again, every change creates more opportunities for storage, right? So that's a whole anywhere from 6 months to 12 months of process for somebody to completely get evicted out of wherever they're staying. And there's 11 million people that are in that bucket. So there's a whole lot of opportunities still coming. right? So there's more of those, and then with more of these variants come in and different things that with more lockdowns, more changes that might potentially be coming, I see that this continuing for at least another 12 months to 18 months.
Yeah, for sure. And I've even seen some articles out there. I want to say it was Facebook, if I'm remembering correctly. They are now allowing employees to work from home indefinitely forever, ever, amen. So, when that's happening, obviously there's stuff going on within a house where people might have to like up their game with their office space, not be in their bedroom like I am with a unmade bed behind me because I'm that bad adult that doesn't make my bed in the morning.
I think that's the new world we live in, right? At Devon, we had switched over to this model back in 2018. So when COVID kind of came, it was smooth transition for us because it was something that we were already accustomed to.
Sure. Are the bulk of your properties manned? Do you have any unmanned?
We do. We have 2 unmanned, one with a kiosk and one with just a sign that somebody can scan with their phone and use the phone as a kiosk.
The QR code?
We tried both of those options, trying to see which one benefits us the best.
Which one so far is outperforming the other, the kiosk or the?
Too early to say. We've been doing it for about 3 months now.
Okay.
So we're sort of using that as our A/B testing, right? So we're trying to see. I would say we would need to wait at least 6 months to collect that data before we can say exactly which is the right way of doing things. We're sort of going through a rental season. I like to see the same process now as we get out of the rental season and really decide in December, January exactly what was the progress and which one is better.
Awesome. And my final question for you, for the newer owners and operators out there, and you can put a plug back in here for third-party management if you want to. If someone's growing their portfolio, right? They've got a couple locations. Where do you think that fine line is where, okay, maybe it's no longer time to be self-managed, it's time to bring in a third-party management? And listen, I know there's a lot of variables. It depends on that person if they just want to be a investor and be hands off and not have to deal with the nitty gritty of the operations and the marketing and the day to day, but kind of give me a pulse on where you think that maybe fine line is where higher resources might need to come in and assist a property or assist an ownership group in this process.
As I said earlier, right, I gave you those 3 things. It's marketing, revenue management, and operations, right? Overall, you got to be in tune with all 3. And if you don't have the time and energy to focus on one of those or one of those 3 metrics is sort of falling down the cracks, you're not able to get leads coming in. You're not able to maximize on the revenue on the people that are coming in, or your operations is falling apart. You can't focus on one of those things. That's when I think you need a third-party manager because they're going to focus on all 3.
For sure.
Then we also say that there's 5 P's in management that you really need to, if you want to maximize your revenue, you got to focus on these 5 P's. Number 1 is people. You got to have the right people. You got to know how to hire the right people, how to train them, how to educate them, how to coach them. You got to have a team that knows how to look at a property, understand, hey, what are my CapEx situations this year? What are my CapEx situations next year? What do I need to fix? How do I make sure my asset continues to perform well? And then you got to understand, especially with these high occupancies, the 3rd piece, what I call product. You got to be able to know I'm running out of a particular size unit. So how do I create more of those? How do I make sure that if everybody's looking for a 5x10 and I have tons of 5x5s, there's a potential for me to create some virtual 5x10 units by merging 2 5x5s together, or vice versa in a different direction. But you need to know that you have a third-party management company that sort of has their pulse on the ground and is able to see that and proactively make those changes, right? So you got to be able to look at that. So people, property, the product, and then, performance. How is the team performing? Are they, look, anybody can rent a unit for $0 or $1 and give free months, right? But are they maximizing on insurance? Are they getting Google reviews? Are they getting auto pay? Are they getting all the things that those value adds that really perform well on a property and help with the bottom line? And last but not least is pricing. Are you adjusting your pricing? Are you staying competitive with everybody else in the market? So if you focus on those 5 things and you can do well, then you're good. If not, then that's really a sign for you that, hey, you need to step up, and maybe there's a third-party company that come in and really help you out.
Yeah, I noticed that in my franchising career, as I would travel to different locations, I could instantly walk in the door of one of the restaurants and know if it was an engaged owner or a non-engaged owner.
Yep.
By the cleanliness, the look and feel. They would have POP material up from 10 years ago on a product that's been out of the product menu mix for many years. And I think you see the same here in self-storage. You can go drive by a facility, walk into a facility, and get a really good pulse on if that owner is present or not. And if, maybe it is time they have that pain point where they need to move over to third-party management. So
yeah. And I think that's where a lot of owners struggle, right? They get into the business, they think that they understand all the different concepts of storage. And that's one thing that, people sort of misunderstand about storage is they look at storage and it goes, hey, it's 3 walls and a door. Anybody should be able to do this. And it's an easy, product and a system to go through, but it has layers. And if you understand those layers, you can still make money. That's one thing about storage is anybody can make money, right? But
Sure.
Are you maximizing on every dollar that you can? That's what differentiates, different companies and how they do.
Yeah. Great advice as always from you, Raheem. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. I always enjoy when you speak at SSA events or ISS events or any events out there in the industry. You're always a wealth of knowledge, both on not only the operations side, but I've sat through some of your marketing discussions as well. So anyone out there, I highly suggest that you get in touch with Raheem. He always has great value added tips for people in the industry. Raheem, thank you so much for your time today. It's much appreciated, and we always enjoy talking with you and working with you.
Hey, Jessica, thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
No problem. Take care and have a good day.
Bye-bye.